Hi, Daryl. Thank you for joining MovieJunk today. How are you?
Well, great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. I mean, this is a tremendous honor to have you on. We got Darryl Vidal from Karate Kid 1. And, most fans know you as the semifinalist that was going up against Johnny in the semifinal
Yes.
match right before the championship. And, yeah, I was super excited to have you on. Really looking forward to kind of learning more, kind of what that journey was like, how you found yourself in the role, and I'm obviously
Sure.
want to definitely get into kind of what you've been doing as well, because since Karate Kid, you've gone to become a GrandMaster as well, and also teach
Sure.
karate and stick fighting as well. So really want to
That's
learn a
right.
little more on that and get a better sense of your journey.
Well, you've definitely done your homework.
Well, I do have to say that I did a interview with Sean, Sean Kanan, and
Oh, yeah.
during our interview, I was asking him, kind of what were some of the things that he was doing to stay busy, because it was right when the pandemic kind of hit, and
Yeah.
he was saying, just doing different workouts and trainings on Zoom, but he said that he was actually doing some stick fighting training with you at that time. So that's
Yes,
interested to learn about that. So it looks like you guys, Mike Barnes and Darryl Vidal, obviously keep in touch.
absolutely. In fact, we just got done training virtually a half hour ago. So,
Are you doing any trainings with anyone else? I know you're also friends with William C. Ford.
yes, William, I don't know if you saw his recent 52 Masters episode, but he and I have known each other since before the Karate Kid. We used to compete in tournaments together. I think he was probably 14 or 15, and I was probably 16 or 17. So I'm a little bit older than him. But yeah, William is a great guy. And then I appeared in Karate Kid 1, and then I saw that he appeared in Karate Kid 3 like years later. And then it was like the Dark Ages back then, medieval times. So it wasn't until Facebook came back around, probably 10 years ago, that we started to connect again. And he's a great guy. So we keep in contact and try to do things together.
Yeah, what was awesome, actually, William had just, and I posted this on my Instagram, had sent this picture.
Oh, great. Yes.
It's you guys
All
there.
right.
And
It
when
is.
I always, kind of wondered this, to myself. I always wanted, and we actually kind of got a taste of that in the 52 Masters, but it would be awesome to kind of get those two characters together. You can make a movie just with you guys.
Well, I have to tell you, you must be a huge Karate Kid fan because I would say that most people, even though they know about like the crane technique or maybe they might, recognize me from the semifinal, uh, they wouldn't think of me as a primary character from Karate Kid. It was really just, a few seconds on the screen. And then most people don't even know about the crane kick. So, yeah, you definitely know your Karate Kids.
Well, there's some history behind that as well too, because I mean, you did a little bit more than just those scenes, in the final tournament, and I want to get to that as well. But you're also known for was it inventing the crane kick? Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, and it's become a bit of a debate, but I have some great proof, if you will, because there's a video on YouTube of John Avildsen, the director. You have to search for it, probably under his name and my name, but he actually he actually talks about how he found me, and he says that I invented the crane kick. But just to clear all the air about it, uh, the the concept of the crane kick was developed by Robert Mark Kamen, the writer of Karate Kid. And if you open up a script, you'll see that it talks about the crane kick standing on one leg, but that's really all it says about it. And then so it was presented to me during the summer of 1983 when we were doing the rehearsals as as a stunt that needed to happen because they were asking me to do it in the place of Pat Morita because it entailed standing on top of this post and doing this kick. that, you stand on one leg and kick. So the description as it was written really talked about arms splayed out to the side and standing on one leg and doing the kick and then landing again on that same leg. I had commented to them first. My first comment was, arms to the side. Why would you ever do that? But you only want to be obstinate to a director and the writer one time. So I kind of just sucked it up and said, okay, well, I'll do whatever you say. And then in terms of the kick itself, there's a lot of discussion about, oh, that's a double jump kick, or jumping front kick, whatever. There's everybody who studied martial arts knows this kick, and so they don't agree that I invented that, and I would agree because I've been taking karate most of my life, and we always did this kick called the double jump kick, where you would lift up a knee and you kind of do a fake kick, and then you kick with the other leg, and that's the kick that we're using. So to qualify the statement inventor of the crane kick, all this stuff was invented by me right here, because he said to the arms out, but after I do the kick, he says, well, you got to do something with your arms. You can't just do this. So that's where this comes from. This is it's actually like a Wing Chun guard, and then swooping down and coming up high and creating that whole spreading the wings thing was something that I did develop for the movie. And so John Alvinson himself, and even Ralph will tell you that I made that up for the movie. And so they're, whether you want to call me the inventor or not, whatever, it's me.
Is it fair to say that you, and I mean Darryl Vidal, was the first person to initiate the crane kick on screen? Is that a fair statement?
Well, as a complete movement, yes. Yeah.
Because we actually saw your scene, and we're referring to the scene where Mr. Miyagi is on the beach and he's doing the balance and he does the crane kick.
Yes.
And that was you. So, and we see that before the actual tournament. So technically,
right.
Just technically, get it in there.
It's good. I need that support.
And as far as the role itself, was this a role that you openly auditioned for? Was it something you were discovered, or how did you find yourself in Karate Kid?
It's really a true Hollywood story, because even though I started training as a young person, started competing a lot, and I knew I had good skills. I knew I could kick, do flashy kicks, and made the effort to learn, the flashiest kicks I could do. Because my style, Kempo, doesn't really have flashy kicks. We have a back hook, and then and actually the jumping tornado kick, if you will, is in one of our katas. So it is something that we do. But in terms of like jump backspin or drop down to the ground, a lot of that stuff is stuff we would probably never do in a real tournament. So what happened was I was at a competition, and I had used or created this kata that has all these jumping kicks in it. It was a flashy kata. It was made to be that way. I was using it to, dominate tournaments there for a while. And the director and his assistant just happened to be there scouting. And so here I have this kata that has pretty much every kick that you saw me do in the tournament of the Karate Kid is in this kata. So they saw a miniature version of all the things. Then they said, we need this guy to, bring some credibility into the movie. So that's how they brought me into it.
And I think besides the referee, who helped kind of coordinate all the stunts and all the scenes, I think it was just you and Bobby, Ron Thomas, who were the only black belts in the first
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct, yeah. Pat Johnson, who at the time was already a legend to me. I had already known of him. He was in Enter the Dragon. Yeah. He's a world-famous stunt coordinator. So he obviously black belt in Tang Soo Do. And then Ron Thomas, as you mentioned, who played Bobby Brown. He was already a black belt in jiu-jitsu at the time, but I think he was not kind of keeping it a secret because he had been told, he's there, he's an actor, kind of de-emphasize his martial arts skills. But, clearly, by the time we got through, the first few weeks of training together, everybody could tell that
You could
he's
tell.
also a trained martial artist. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe, I mean, it may have been written before, but he was the runner-up to Johnny. So remember, he got DQ'd to Daniel.
That's right.
So who knows? Maybe that was a coincidence, or it just happened. They wrote that in there as him being the second best.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of an interesting note because he got disqualified against Daniel, right? And then I lose to Johnny. Well, I didn't think about this until somebody mentioned it in a Facebook posting probably a year ago. But I would have had to fight with Bobby for third and fourth had he not been disqualified. So that whole part is kind of left out there. But I said, you know what? That means I got third place.
That's actually a really interesting point. Yeah, because technically, it would have been that way. That would have been a cool match. And obviously, I'm sure you get this all the time. Kind of what are some fantasy matches? If you mix different characters from different movies. And I always wondered. Actually, I'd like to ask you this question: were there any characters besides Daniel and Johnny that you'd kind of envision having a dream match with? Out of all the
Well, it's funny that you say that because you have that one picture of me and William, which is what I call Vidal versus Dennis. And then we also have I also have combination autograph pictures with myself and Sean Kanan. So it's Vidal versus Barnes, which would have been one heck of a fight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then I also have one with me and Ron. So because I think that Bobby and myself would have had a very competitive round as well. It's we were both training at the time. So
yeah, I don't want
and then. No,
yeah.
and then if you go into there's some rehearsal video out there,
On YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, and so in the rehearsal video, there's a fight with me and Dutch, Chad McQueen, and in that choreographed fight, I kick him in the face. He gets mad and he tries to basically tackle me, and then he gets disqualified. And a lot of people have commented that would have been a great fight to have in the movie, but then he got disqualified, so he wouldn't be able to fight Daniel later. So that's why that scene kind of got cut out.
Yeah, you mentioned some of your early aspirations. Movies like Enter the Dragon. Karate Kid. The original Karate Kid came out in '84,
Right.
but the '70s was just a legendary era. With
Yes.
martial arts movies. And for me, I think of guys, obviously there's Bruce Lee, but I think of guys like Bolo Young. I love him from the '70s, '80s, and early '90s. But
that's before your time. You're not that old, are you?
it's weird. My movie dictionary starts at 71 and then stops at 99. So that's usually my my era of movies, and I just keep rewatching all the same movies over and over again.
Well, that's good. But I agree with you. Yeah, I started watching kung fu movies, as they kind of came around, and so there was, Five Fingers of Death and all kinds of different karate movies, and then we started to see the Bruce Lee movies, Chinese Connection, and Enter the Dragon, and those were really the ones from to me, Bruce Lee's fighting choreographies just totally stood out, and I think changed the whole image of martial arts for the world. And since then, there's been a lot of great martial artists out there who've made some great movies, but I don't know if anybody stands out like Bruce Lee.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite martial artist from the '80s?
From the '80s, so you're taking Bruce Lee out of the Well, let's see. Okay, I never thought about it in a decade like that, because the '80s would mean we would be talking about like Jackie Chan. I don't even know who else we would be talking about.
Yeah, I think
But
Jackie Chan, yeah. And
the Big Brawl.
yeah.
So Jackie Chan, I like. To me, he's very talented. I mean, and for a guy who has done all his stunts all his life, I think it's crazy. But I think um, I've never been a huge fan because his his stuff that he does is always halfway comedic. You know,
Yeah.
he's always getting hit and making funny faces and spinning chairs or flying over here and there. Great ability, but in terms of just pure fighting, it was always a little bit out there. Whereas Bruce Lee was just like kick,
Yeah.
punch, and just kind of straightforward butt kicking.
Yeah, when I think of the '80s, I know Jackie Chan was huge, and then he also carried over into the '90s. I mean, he's carried over to every decade. But then like the '90s, I think of Jet Li, and then
Yes,
late '90s and early 2000s, I think of Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen's doing a great
yes,
job as well. It's like Ip Man
yes,
was awesome.
yes. I love it, man. If you've looked at my training history, I have Wing Chun because of Bruce Lee, and so because of that, Donnie Yen, I'm a huge fan. I like his stuff, but I think Wing Chun is it's a pure form, if you will. So I don't know that it. Even though I like Donnie Yen's fighting, he fights with anybody in the movies. Even Mike Tyson, right? I think it's still you still want to see it in its pure form. But if you saw a regular Wing Chun guy like get into an MMA type fight, you wouldn't really recognize Wing Chun. They would be just going for it probably with any type of MMA. It's kickboxing and grappling and that type of thing.
Um, so I know in Karate Kid 2, I can have fun just talking about martial arts, but switching back to Karate
It's your
Kid,
show.
yeah, switching back to Karate Kid, in Karate Kid 2, obviously they went to Okinawa, and it wasn't until Karate Kid 3 until they came back into the tournament circle. Were you asked to reprise your role for any of the Karate Kids?
No, no. I actually thought about that when in one of these similar interviews, someone had brought it up. But the reason I thought about it was because John Albinson, rest his soul, uh, con- continued to send me Christmas cards probably for 10, 15 years after the Karate Kid. So he knew I was out here, but I think after Karate Kid 2. He always joked that Karate Kid 3 was Karate Kid 1 all over again. I've heard him say that joke a few times. But yeah, they didn't contact me, but they did have an open call for it, and that's where William Ford and Sean both got into the Karate Kid #3.
Yeah, it would have been cool to see you back, in the tournament. Maybe somebody that Mike had to get past. That would have been kind of
Sure.
cool. Um, so yeah, that would have been an awesome match. And obviously there's the new Cobra Kai series that's out. So it's they're
Yep.
bringing back. We've seen the Cobra Kai from Karate Kid 1 come back in season 2, and we've been seeing Kreese's back. So it'd be cool to kind of see you back. Maybe in the tournament circle. I know there was a lot of fans that wanted to see you as the referee in Cobra Kai. That would have.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of discussion about it. People with their theories of what happened to Vidal, and I have the Locust Valley logo back there, as you can see.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, the head judge in Cobra Kai, I think, is actually the stunt coordinator again,
Hmm.
just like Pat Johnson was. So that's probably his spot. I don't know that somebody else is going to come in and take that spot.
This is
But
just an
yeah, I would love to. They did use a scene from Karate Kid 1 in season 1, episode 1. There's a flashback to the tournament
Mhm.
where Johnny and I are fighting. He does the takedown on me. So that's boom. Just for that little 1 second clip, they had to get my waivers and sign permission slips. So they know I'm out here. They have my information.
It would be awesome as say they bring the tournament circle back in season 3, and say the referee accidentally gets kicked and he gets hurt, and then they bring in, because maybe you're part of the committee or you're one of the sponsors, and
Right,
they bring in a backup referee, and it happens to be you.
Well, there you go. Let's present it. Hey guys, the way that I thought about it, because people have asked, what do you think would be, and just as I have, continued to teach and train, Vidal might have also. I think he could come back, as the sensei of Locust Valley Karate Club and have a couple of students and, just be their sensei and, have a spot that way.
That would be a perfect comeback as well. And considering, that's what you've been doing, as well, it'd be a, very, very easy role, and the fans would love to see you back.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and maybe you're not allowed to share this, and I totally understand, but have you been asked at all to come back for any of the seasons, or have you had any of those discussions, or just
well, as you just alluded, that type of discussion is frowned upon, but I can tell you that I'm not in season 3 at all. So,
yeah. Cool.
It's all been filmed and it's all ready to go. So I'm not in there.
I did want to ask one question. I've gotten the same answer from all the folks that I've talked to from the Karate Kid universe, and also in Cobra Kai. But actually, I did get one different answer. But I wanted to ask, what was your favorite Karate Kid out of the Karate Kid 1, 2, 3, and the next Karate Kid? And you don't have to be biased with the first one just because you were in it. But
well, yeah, I mean, if it was to attribute it to the number of times watched, then it would have to be Karate Kid 1, because I just have watched it, as many times as probably a lot of you have. Just every time it comes on, I'll flip it on and say, hey, look, I'm on TV again. And you get to know all the lines. I mean, I bet, Zaya, I bet you could probably do overdub a lot of the lines, just because we've seen it so many times.
Yeah.
Karate Kid 2, I've seen a few times, several times, and then Karate Kid 3, not so much, but I do. I like to tease Mike, Sean, about some of the lines that Mike Barnes uses. If I want to get under his skin, I'll say some lines that Mike Barnes says to Daniel in the tournament. It's pretty funny, but yeah, I guess I would have to pick Karate Kid 1.
Yeah, I remember when we did our interview, I told him, I said that his Mike Barnes character reminded me of Drago from Rocky 4.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
And he said that, he goes, it's funny because he did his haircut like that, and he was trying to kind of base that presence like that, and yeah, he just did an excellent job as Mike Barnes.
He played that role to the T, definitely.
There.
And the next Karate Kid, I have not seen it.
On there. Yeah, we actually did another interview with Michael Cavalieri, who was known as the bad guy in there. And yeah, no, and I've met Michael a few times as well. An awesome guy. And yeah, it'd be great. Everyone wants to see the canon characters kind of come back and in some shape or form, even if it's a cameo. But yeah, the creators of the show are just so smart with the writing, and they're bigger fans than we are. You know what I mean? So I'm sure
they've done some great stuff, and I could see them moving the characters and the plot lines forward. So doing gratuitous old guy returns. I think some people like that. I think others probably. There's a population of people that have not really seen Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3, or maybe they've gone back and watched it, but they don't have that connection that some of us do have for that movie. Because before Cobra Kai, I mean, that was still a very popular franchise, and it always amazes me that I bump into people who are just huge fans. I mean, of Karate Kid. And I mean, they know who I am, and they know all the lines. They have tributes on their walls of autographs and pictures of the Karate Kid, and it's quite amazing that it's had that kind of impact on people.
Did you explore, acting, after Karate Kid, or doing additional movies, or was Karate Kid?
I tried to, but I didn't really know how to do it. So, and it's really kind of silly because, once you're there, you all those opportunities are presented to you. But I was 19, 20 years old. I didn't really, know how the world was working yet. And so I did get a call. The casting director did recommend me for another role, and I auditioned for it, and I didn't get it because obviously they're looking for an Asian guy, uh, which was not as common back then. So after that, I kind of let it drop and started working, going to school, get married, and all those kind of things. So life took over, and I had my 15 minutes.
And I mentioned, earlier during the interview that you became a GrandMaster, and forgive me if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. Is it Judan?
Judan. That means 10th degree. Yeah, 10th degree black belt.
And that was back in 2012.
Correct.
And so, can you kind of share kind of what that process is like, and how do you become?
Sure. Yeah, and it's an interesting thing in the market. You train in martial arts?
What I've only done, I actually wrestled. So I've done wrestling. Okay. Yeah, a little bit different.
Yeah, I wrestled myself. So it's kind of one of those discussions, because sometimes you hear these people and they say, oh yeah, I'm a 10th degree black belt, or I'm a grandmaster, and I've got this degree and that degree and 5 degrees here and Wing Chun and Tang Soo Do, and you start to say, oh god, this guy is full of it, So a lot of times, if someone says they're a 10th degree black belt, there's a bit of skepticism that goes with it. So I rarely talk about it. I never ask to be called a grandmaster, but that is the ranking. At 5th degree, you're considered a master. At 10th degree, you're a grandmaster. And the way it works for our system, which is Chinese Kempo, not American Kempo, it's Chinese Kempo, is after you get your Shodan, your first degree, subsequent rankings are from teaching and training. So it's not like there's more material, but basically that's the test, is if you continue teaching and training, then you will get ranked. Because if you think about it, if you're an instructor and you're promoting students to black belt, eventually you're going to have more people coming up, and you're going to have to rank people. Otherwise, they'll all be first degree black belts. So for our system, every 3 or 4 years of constant teaching and training, you'll get ranked. So for me, it was, I got my black belt at 81, and then I never stopped teaching and training. I always either taught and trained with my instructor, or when I moved to where I live now here in Murrieta, California, I started my program through the Parks and Rec here in 1990. So I've been teaching here for 30 years. So every 3 or 4 years, I still am under the umbrella of our association, and my instructor, Joe Rosas, who is our founder and grandmaster. So every 3 or 4 years, he ranks me, and to the point where I'm his head, I'm his senior student. So it took from 81 to 2012 for me to obtain, 10th degree, every 3 or 4 years getting ranked. And so I have every certificate of each ranking. They're all from the same guy. And that's how it came to be.
That's awesome. And then again, that's congratulations for continuing to stick with that. And that's a discipline, that's taken, decades. Do you think, maybe you would have accomplished this anyways, but do you think being in the Karate Kid had any influence in wanting to stick with it, or was this more of a personal?
That's an interesting question, but I think for the most part, people who become martial artists and start teaching and training, they don't do it to achieve GrandMaster. They do it because they like doing it. And so I think it would be the same either way. I was never in the Karate Kid because I always like teaching and training. I love, helping others achieve and attain their goals through the martial arts. And so, yeah, to answer your question, I think that wouldn't have changed anything.
Do you teach, anyone, or how can someone take your classes?
So I teach through the Marietta Parks and Rec, and because of COVID, I teach remotely as well. And so next week, actually, we're starting back to in-person classes. But since some people aren't ready, we're actually going to do virtual, and it's called, hybrid learning. So I'll be teaching in a real class, but some of my students will be remote. And so you could go on Marietta.org and sign up to virtual karate, and you can sign up. I also do some private lessons. I don't have a lot of time since I have a regular job that I work during the day. Then I teach karate 2 nights a week. And I also teach Filipino stick fighting right now privately, but before I was teaching it every other Monday. And I might start doing that again. So, if somebody wanted to contact me, they could contact me on social media. I think that's how we initially connected, isn't it, Jay? Yeah. So I'll throw them out if that's okay. If you go on Facebook, my handle is Vidal Kempo. And then on Twitter, it's at Kempo Vidal. But I think if you put Vidal Kempo, it'll come up. And then on Instagram, it's Rockbreaker Boy, at Rockbreaker Boy. So if you want to try to contact me, I'm usually very open and communicate with fans. And if you want to try to get on my schedule, I have done this. I have had students where people come and say, "Can I take lessons with you?" And schedule a half an hour here and there, and do some training with them, remotely. So I do it.
Yeah, no, I'm going to share all your links. That way, fans that watch this that are interested, because you'd be amazed, how many people that I interact with that, have a passion for martial arts, karate, just MMA, I mean, everything, anything to do with fighting, and, getting trained, by you would be a tremendous honor. Now that I remember, because you did ask if I've done any martial arts, and I actually remember when I was 7 years old, I actually signed up for karate. And I had just gotten done watching, I'm sure it was one of the Karate Kids. And I'm sure you remember or know Ernie Reyes Jr.
Of
and
course.
Ernie Reyes Sr. They used to have a bunch of karate, dojos. I live in the Bay Area. And,
I was going to say in San Jose, yeah.
Yep. So I remember I went to one. I believe Ernie Reyes Sr. was there that day too, and I just started. It was my first day, and I had to do the splits, and I couldn't do it. And then I remember I think I hurt myself when I left, and that was the last time I took any karate.
Yeah. If you tried to make me do the splits today, I would hurt myself too. But I have met Ernie a few times, Junior. He's a little bit younger than me, but the West Coast demo team, which is their big demo team that used to travel around, had seen them perform a few times. And I think he came out and was it Ninja Turtles 1 or 2 or something where
part 2
prime role. Yeah.
The Secret of the Ooze. Awesome. Darryl, I want to be respectful of your time. This is a tremendous honor to have you on. I can't wait to share this with the fans, and definitely want to share all the links that fans can get a hold of you as well if they're interested in signing up. To be honest, I'm getting the eye of the tiger right now. I think I'm going to sign up myself.
Hey, there you go. So, see you Tuesday night.
Definitely that it's virtual. It makes things a lot more easier because, for a lot of people, I'm sure you hear this, with balancing work and, commuting,
Sure.
There's no excuse now. It's virtual.
Yes.
You can come in and it's ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, there's advantages and disadvantages. That is definitely one of the advantages is to, walk over into my other room and start doing Zoom classes with very, very little other preparation. But the the in contact part of it is a big glaring hole, or missing piece. For instance, I told you that Sean and I are doing stick fighting together. Uh, there has to be a point where we get together and work together, because you have to make contact. You gotta feel the different movements. You gotta get your knuckles smashed by a stick, all that kind of stuff.
I actually had mentioned to Sean, my best friend is Filipino, and his dad used to teach stick fighting. And whenever I would go over their house, I would see these classes. And he actually, my buddy knows how to do stick fighting as well too. And it was just so cool. I'm a little disappointed that I never got into it, but it looks like it's never too late.
It's never too late. It's not as strenuous as like traditional martial arts is, because it's very flow based. So it's very soft, smooth, using the momentum of the stick. There's a lot of very fluid footwork. They don't have like hard stances and strong kicking. So it's a very flowy, gentle art, until you start smashing hands and fingers and doing takedowns and grappling and other things like that. But yeah, it is a good art to learn because of that, and you learn using that flow of the stick, and the momentum of the stick translates into the other forms, which are to blade, stick and blade, and then even empty hands. You can apply all the things that you do with a stick to fighting with empty hands.
Awesome. No, that sounds awesome. I want to see you in a movie now doing some stick fighting.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look up on my Facebook and Instagram, one of my students tends to post a lot of the videos, so you can find stuff of us doing things together.
Perfect. No, we'll definitely do. Darryl, thank you. Thank you again for joining. And again, it's a tremendous honor to have you on.
Hey, you know what? I'm honored. I'm honored to be on your show, because I always tell people that without the fans, we would just be a bunch of egos, right? So I really appreciate the whole Karate Kid universe. The fans are exceptionally great people. And so, yeah, I'm honored to be part of it. So thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And would love to do this again sometime. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Take care.